After 7 years in New York City, we decided to spread our wings and spread out a little bit, try a new venue here in Austin, Texas. So we're in Austin, Texas for the first time. Hope you guys are enjoying the new venue. At yesterday's sessions, at the VIP dinner last night, really starting to see some of the brightest minds in our industry gathered here today. Some of you are brands, some of you are creators, some of you are publishers, some of you are platform partners. And we're just excited that you're here, and we know that you're here largely because you see what's coming and you're ready to lead it. I think it's important also that we're gathered here today together because honestly, Austin, we've got a problem. Marketing is facing an existential crisis, so let's talk about it. For decades, as marketers, we've used the same tools, the same tactics to reach consumers and hit them over the head with an ad. And while we've seen technological change accelerate and consumer behavior evolve, our playbook as marketers really hasn't kept up. And that disconnect is becoming impossible to ignore. Everything that we thought we knew about influence, trust, and performance is being rewritten. And I'd argue that this is more than just a shift. It's a reckoning. For over a century, advertising has been a game of scale. Spend more than your competitors, be louder, control the message. Brands bought the ad space, pushed their narrative onto consumers, and consumers had no choice but to listen in silence. Brands with the biggest budgets, the best jingles, won. But now the consumer has caught on, and they realize that they are empowered. They don't want to be marketed to. They aren't just distrustful of traditional ads, it's worse. They're disinterested. So they skip the pre-roll, they scroll past the ad, they close the overlay without a second thought. But they're not just avoiding marketing, they're actively choosing something else. They realize and fully embrace the fact that they have access to unfiltered and unlimited commerce content from sources that they can finally trust, real people. And to no one's surprise, they prefer this to corporate ads and brand-controlled messaging. So they turn to creators, they turn to publishers that they trust. They dive into Reddit threads, they watch TikTok videos, they search for honest reviews. Influence has shifted away from brands and toward individuals. People now choose to discover on their own terms, in their own communities, from voices that they choose. And yet, in spite of all of this, brands are spending $1 trillion this year on global advertising in an effort to reach people the old way. We know that the world has changed, but our tactics as marketers largely haven't. Essentially, as marketers, we're stuck trying to compete and be relevant today using yesterday's playbook, especially as we barrel towards the future. Let's break this down further. Of that $1 trillion spend, roughly 60%, so that's $600 billion goes to performance marketing, and primarily 3 traditional performance marketing channels: paid search, paid social, and programmatic display ads. For years, performance marketing teams have relied on the same formula: pump dollars into these channels, optimize for clicks, and hope for conversions. But the problem is, the consumer has already moved on, and these channels are no longer the center of gravity. And the proof is in the numbers. While advertising costs have skyrocketed, efficiency has plummeted, with customer acquisition costs going up over 200% in the past decade. Let that sink in for a minute. As marketers, we're now paying 3 times as much to acquire the same customer. To make matters worse, most of that paid media spend ends up concentrated in the hands of just a few companies, including Amazon, Alphabet, Meta, and ByteDance. Those companies own the attention economy, but are unfortunately still just enabling outdated ad tactics for advertisers and their agencies. These methods aren't just wasteful. They're hard on marketers' wallets, and they're also losing relevance by the day. Our phones have gotten smarter, but why haven't our ads? In fact, the whole thing is pretty counterintuitive. The consumer has changed so much in the past 20 years. So why haven't our marketing strategies changed too? A lot of you have seen some of these videos, Get Ready With Me, or A Day in the Life Of, or on another hand, one of my favorites, The History of Rap with Jimmy Fallon by JT. So I thought it might be fun to do a bit of our own version of a combination of those two concepts. A day in the life of a consumer 20 years ago versus 10 years ago versus today. And we'll even take a peek forward when we're done. Picture this, it's 2005. Guys, we're talking just 20 years ago. It's really not that long ago. And hang with me, because I think you're gonna get a kick out of some of this. So it's 2005. People are just getting comfortable texting on their flip phones and BlackBerries. Smartphones are extremely niche, with only about 50 million of them available worldwide. If a consumer wants to buy something, they need to walk into a brick and mortar store and talk to a salesperson. And what would get them to make a purchase that day? Likely some sort of events like a holiday sale or a big box store promotion. Online shopping has only just started to get going, with Amazon selling mainly books with a 5 to 8 day delivery window. Brand websites are basic, and they're not yet optimized for e-commerce. Downloading a 30-second video with dial-up takes 10 to 15 minutes. Not to mention, social media is still in its infancy, with MySpace leading the charge. How many people remember Tom, their first friend on MySpace? All right, you guys, I got you. You're dating yourself. You're at least over the age of 36 by my calculation. TV, radio, billboards, direct mail, print ads are king because consumers rely on commercials and print catalogs to make purchasing decisions. And discovering a business, that means using the yellow pages. You heard it in the New York video that we had. It's this big fat book that got delivered to your front door. In a similar vein, you can forget about GPS. Physical maps are the only option. The Thomas Guide is a driver's best friend, and getting to your destination is like playing the game Battleship. People laughing, no. How did that work? You had to go to the back of the Thomas Guide and the index, find the road, get the coordinates, C4, page 128, find that, find the grid that it's pointing to, and physically look at the street and try and find it. But if you were savvy, you would print out a MapQuest printout before you left the office or your house. When it comes to building consumer trust, brands rely on traditional media and celebrity endorsements. This is still 2005. Now, consumers are still using word of mouth because people have always sought recommendations from family and friends, but those recommendations are shared on a much smaller scale. Now, fast forward 10 years, 2015, and consumers have entered the era of staying constantly connected through their smartphones. There's now approximately 2.5 billion smartphones worldwide. Online shopping has become mainstream. Thanks to Amazon Prime, we experienced a 2-day delivery window. Internet speeds have come a long way too. That same 30-second video now only takes about 5 to 10 seconds to download. And social media has completely taken over with platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. We ditched the yellow pages for Google, which has basically turned into a shopping tool, so if consumers needed something, they Googled it. By 2015, we started to see a major shift in where people are spending their time. Consumers were moving away from traditional broadcast. They turned off cable TV, they turned off FM radio, and they started to tune into streaming platforms like Netflix, YouTube, and Pandora. But here's the catch. Many of these platforms didn't have ads, so they had to get creative. To earn attention and build trust, they began shifting from big budget celebrity endorsements to something more authentic, everyday voices. This was the first rise of influencers, blogs, and review videos. Content that felt more like education than promotion. So in other words, edutainment became a form of advertising. Interesting side note, just 10 years ago, Pandora had 3 times as many monthly active users as Spotify. Today, Spotify has 20 times more monthly active users than Pandora. This was the moment in time where it was a clear turning point in consumer behavior. Platforms like YouTube didn't just change what people said or what they watched. It changed who got to talk. For the first time, consumers weren't just consuming content, they were creating it. Reviews, tutorials, unboxings. Anyone with an opinion and a camera could influence buying decisions at scale. This moment marked the beginning of democratized commerce content, where trust no longer came from the brand, but from other people. And that shift only happened because of, first, the rise of the internet, but then the rise of these social and sharing platforms. With that foundation, the power would have stayed with brands, but instead, it shifted to the community, and it's never going back. Finally, let's take a look at a day in the life of the consumer today, 2025. They expect a frictionless and seamless experience, online and in-store. Not only are they ultra-connected, but they're also used to hyper-personalized experiences thanks to advanced targeting capabilities, AI, and the sheer number of products and choices that exist, each with their own unique twist and niche. There are 7 billion global smartphones, meaning that everyone with a phone basically has a smartphone, and they can get anything that they want right away. A 30-second video takes less than a second to download. An Amazon package can be delivered in 2 hours. Social media is booming, with consumers having the newfound ability to discover products while they scroll, click directly into the brand website, and go from there. And consumer desire for research is at an all-time high, with people searching not only on Google for products, but also directly now in the social platforms. Platforms like YouTube, TikTok, and Meta have fueled the change in consumer behavior, becoming one of the first places people turn to now when looking to discover, learn about, and make buying decisions. And consumers are engaging with both short and long-form content. The line between content and commerce has completely blurred, and consumers are empowered by their ability to connect with one another and share real experiences. When it comes to building trust, community is more important than ever, meaning brands need to find a way to become part of these communities. And this requires building relationships with trusted community voices, like partnering with creators, ambassadors, affiliates, other publishers of commerce content in these communities. And one of the biggest changes, consumers choose brands that align with their beliefs. Values matter. They expect transparency, sustainability, and ethical practices. And they have more than enough options from which to choose. I don't bring all this up just for the fun of taking a trip down memory lane, but rather to point out a few key themes. We've moved from a world where brands did all the talking, telling consumers about how great they are and how great their products are, to a world now where relevance depends on others saying it for them. Today, it's critical that partners, creators, and communities carry your brand message, not just you on your own. Consumers have gone from having limited and biased information to having unlimited and unfiltered access to reviews, comparisons, and peer opinions. People used to trust big brands in traditional media. Today, they trust each other. Shopping has gone from an event to an experience to an embedded part of life. Commerce has gone from a transaction to a connection point, and buying has gone from brand-led to community-led. So tell me, if consumers have evolved so much just in the past 10 to 20 years, why haven't our marketing strategies? This is our moment of reckoning. The trillion-dollar question is, are we investing our marketing dollars in the right places today? Are we investing in influence where it actually lives? Or are we optimizing outdated models and calling it performance? As traditional channels become more expensive and saturated, and marketers see lower returns, we have to face the fact that it's just not working the way that it used to. Take SEO, for example. We all know search is struggling. Because of the rise of Gen AI, ChatGPT, and what's coming from all the latest, greatest releases from Google, which are amazing, I'm sure you've noticed that search results now populate an AI answer at the very top of your screen. And think about what this means for paid search. Previously, consumers had to click into links at the top of articles. Now they're being spoon-fed a very quick and easy answer without ever having to navigate away from their search results. This is estimated to reduce web traffic by 25%, which will be detrimental for brands who are over-reliant on paid search. This is just one example of how performance marketers are stuck in a cycle of outbidding competitors, chasing attention in crowded, expensive spaces. Brands have spent the last decade mastering targeting because originally the promise of online marketing was precision. This was the holy grail. Brands put all of their investment and focus into hyper-targeting and personalizing consumer outreach. But in that singular focus, they lost sight of what the consumer precisely wants. I'm sure at least some of you, probably those who raised their hand and said that they remember Tom from MySpace, remember at the start of online marketing, roughly the year 2000, when DoubleClick tried to acquire a company called iPX, and the way that this deal fell through. The deal represented the promise of joining online and offline data. But consumers valued their privacy overall. And still today, their message is clear. Consumers want to be the ones to invite you as a brand into their lives. The truth is, trust beats targeting every time. Consumers don't care if you reach them at the perfect moment if they don't believe you or trust you. We need brand leaders to realize and understand that. Investing in partnerships means investing in the future, building long-term, personalized relationships with your customers through partners that will outlast traditional channels. This is now the holy grail. We are all being forced into a classic innovator's dilemma, where we have to adapt and invest in the future, otherwise our existing business will fail. The big idea behind the innovator's dilemma is simple. It just means that in order to level up, you've got to let go of maybe what made you successful up to this point, all right? Because holding too tightly onto an old playbook can actually keep you from seeing what's coming next. Most companies wait until disruption forces their hand, but we have an opportunity here to be proactive. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand the hesitancy to rethink how we've always done things, but there are at least two big obstacles to overcome. The first is simply, change is hard. Certainty, even when flawed, feels safer than uncertainty. So we often prefer to be sure of a bad outcome rather than gamble on the unknown, even if that unknown leads to something better. It sounds crazy, I know, but it's the reason why people stay in jobs when they're unfulfilled, rather than seeking a new opportunity that could lead to something greater and help them redefine their purpose, or why businesses keep investing in outdated strategies instead of embracing a new approach that might yield to far greater results. And it's part of why brands are afraid to change their marketing strategies. It's a fear of the unknown. But all of us in this room are pioneers, or you wouldn't be here today, right? And we've got to push ourselves harder to choose that more promising path, even if it's unfamiliar. The second obstacle is partnership marketing isn't as easy as buying impressions, clicks, or flipping on a campaign switch. It's not the same as slotting money into these traditional channels that will allow you to blow millions of dollars in a very short time frame. You know better than anyone that partnership marketing is rooted in relationships, collaboration, and trust. It doesn't happen at the snap of your fingers. This is what we're working on at Impact.com. We're thinking into the future. We're working on making commerce partnerships easier to create, easier to manage, easier to optimize, easier to scale. Our Chief Product Officer, Max, is going to share more tomorrow on our roadmap on how we're innovating on the platform, making it fit your needs better, removing barriers to entry, removing friction to scale. But know that we're on it, and that our goal is to make partner-led marketing not only effective, but scalable. That's what we're building. Because like all hard things, it's worth doing, and it does pay off. But we all need to commit. And what I'm asking of you is not to abandon performance marketing, but instead to reimagine it. And here's where the opportunity becomes clear. Let's go back to that $1 trillion, the 60% of spend, the $600 billion that's spent largely in paid search, paid social, and programmatic display ads. Partnerships, which sits under performance marketing as well, is estimated to receive only 2% of that spend, even though 81% of brands have partnership programs. This is the gap that we need to close. This is what we need to change, and this is what we need to reimagine. We need to pioneer a marketing world in which companies rethink how they deploy performance marketing dollars and reallocate more to partnerships. It's that simple. Because partner-led programs yield lower customer acquisition costs, longer customer lifetime value, and stronger brand equity. This is about unlocking performance that's both effective and enduring. We know that 89% of people trust personal recommendations over any other advertising channel. 9 out of 10 people read reviews before buying, and consumers research products at least 3 separate times before purchasing. These are the pivotal points in the modern customer's journey that matter. Winning brands speak their customers' language. They show up in the channels, in meeting customers where they are, and they earn attention because they've tapped into communities that amplify their brand. And besides all the efficiency and the value of this channel, just the relevancy brands have with consumers in a partner-led strategy is certainly worth more than 2%. Ask yourself, what kind of brand do I want to be? One that jams an ad into someone's face, disrupting their normal online experience? Or one that has a credible voice from the community, talking about how great you are as a brand at a time when the consumer is actually curious to learn about you? Where do you think the marketing puck is going? You'll be hearing from Ben Harms, Chief Growth Officer at Arch Rival here shortly, but in their recent microsite, there was a fantastic quote that really summed up the state of marketing today. Marketers no longer build brands. The community around the brand does. Olipop, the prebiotic soda brand, is a brand that's doing this right. So instead of solely relying on paid media, their goal was to reach their audience of health meets delicious types of consumers. So they partnered with creators, with registered dietitians and others whose lifestyles and values reflected their own. They even had a large number of people who signed up for this program directly through their site and from customer advocate groups, meaning that they rewarded truly loyal and passionate creators as opposed to just focusing on recruiting influencers that just wanted to run a hashtag ad campaign. They implemented a targeted partnership campaign to ensure consumers saw a series of posts. They were mixing awareness with education and promo codes. This initiative yielded an average of almost a 1,000% return on investment. And it meant that creators alone contributed a whopping 12% of total Olipop sales last year. This leads me to another huge benefit of partnerships, which is that they enable you to differentiate yourself in the market. We live in a world with so many products and services that are available to us. Just as an aside note, did you know there are over 5.5 million stores on Shopify? Whether it's the drink market or even looking for a simple t-shirt, you're going to find yourself faced with a plethora of options, which on one hand is great, but the downside of that is you're often faced with the paradox of choice, as described by psychologist Barry Schwartz. If I were to search for a men's t-shirt, for example, I'd see athleisure, performance shirts, tech-enhanced shirts with built-in cooling or sweat-proof mechanisms, eco-friendly shirts. You get the point. Modern brands have to be very clear and very specific about what purpose they serve. You heard Adam talk about the joy that married people bring with the boots that he's wearing. Certainly made me look happy when I saw those on him. It's difficult to convey that in a traditional 30-second ad spot today. When choice is no object, when features blur together and pricing is competitive, what stands out is identity. It's the story behind the product, the why. And partnership marketing gives brands the best canvas to tell that story. You can disseminate key information in targeted review articles, creator posts that reach niche communities, and genuine customer reviews. And the beauty is, you're no longer talking at consumers. You're having a conversation with them through a community-based strategy. Your partners are your distributed sales force today. They're your voice in the wild, where consumers are already exploring, discovering, and deciding. Brands who carve out their niche, clearly differentiate who they are, and express the values that they align with are the ones that will win in today's market. And their partners are the ones that are helping them do this. Take Allbirds, for example. There are plenty of shoe brands out there, but Allbirds leads with their values. They honed in on their ideal customer, eco-conscious people who want to feel good wearing their shoes both physically and ethically. And they ensure that their branding and messaging speaks to them. I mean, their tagline is literally, Mother Nature made us do it. Allbirds partnered with like-minded affiliates, ambassadors, and creators to spread their message, and they have effectively built a community of comfort meets sustainability customers. This is the power of authentic partnerships. So let's get tactical. How do we help partnerships gain more than just 2% of the budget? How do we expand our scope? A great way to increase your company's investment in partnerships and grow faster within performance marketing is to effectively incorporate creators and customer advocates. These are your growth engines. If activated with intent, they're going to become repeatable, scalable performance channels. Creators are the new affiliates. They are the modern publisher. It's as simple as that. Creators have become an integral part of consumers' daily lives. They are trusted voices who are expected to share authentic reviews and brand recommendations. Look, we all share the same constraint, time. As attention shifts, people aren't spending hours flipping through magazines anymore, right? This has gotten more limited and more fragmented as ever, right? What people are doing is they're scrolling, they're swiping, they're discovering, and they're doing this through people that they are connected with. Traditional media still plays a surround sound role, but social media has become the primary battleground for time and attention. Just look at BuzzFeed, for example. They understood this very early on. They didn't just continue to publish content on their own site. They created bite-sized content, video snippets, got that distributed on socials as well, and they even invested in an in-house creator team. Or look at Unilever, who are signifying the change ahead and the reallocation of performance marketing dollars. They plan to spend 50% of their media budget on social channels and increase their influencer marketing investment 20-fold. They know attention is now earned through relationships, not just media buys. The signal is clear. Working with creators is no longer optional. They are a critical touch point along the modern customer journey. They excel also at something that brands especially struggle with, building real communities. Communities that your brand can partner with, tap into, and activate through partnering with them. As Unilever's CEO, Fernando Fernandez, put it, there are 19,000 zip codes in India and over 5,000 municipalities in Brazil. I want at least one influencer in each of them, and in some, I want 100. That's a significant shift. This really hits home for me. Fernando gets it. He clearly sees that trust doesn't come from brands talking at consumers anymore. It comes from other people. And he's not just acknowledging that shift. He's ready to upend a century of traditional advertising to build something better, a partner-led strategy that meets consumers where they are. So how can you think bigger when it comes to your partner-led programs? First, don't limit how you work with creators. Brands often put them into two boxes, either focusing on awareness or focusing on performance. Embrace hybrid models that incentivize creators to start a relationship with your brand and then give that collaboration room to evolve. That might mean beginning with a flat fee, even if nominal, and then combine a performance-based component to it, a hybrid or a post-plus payment model, essentially. Remember, creators have the ability to educate and sell in the same breath. That's performance. US marketers are set to spend $10 billion on social media sponsored content this year, which has surpassed previous forecasts. And that's because leading brands are getting smarter about utilizing creator marketing, not just for awareness, but also for performance. Second, don't silo creator partnerships by handing them off to a standalone influencer team. Creators are partners, and they need to be treated as such. Influencer marketing belongs within the broader partnerships function. It needs to be aligned with performance marketing and all under the marketing umbrella. When these teams are separated, it not only limits the impact of influencer marketing, but also weakens your overall investment in partnerships. Similarly, if you aren't tapping into your customers as advocates and including this partnership type in your programs, you're not keeping up. Happy customers have already loved your product, right? They're recommending it. And the question is, have you made it easy and rewarding for them to do so? Remember, they are the most trusted voices in a consumer's journey, and no ad, no matter how targeted, can compete with a friend saying, you have to try this. A product recommendation from a friend, family member, someone in your community is the ultimate stamp of approval and the ultimate way to cut through the competition. And the numbers are undeniable up here, right? Referral marketing generates 3 to 5 times higher conversion rates than any other channel. 70% of marketers say that referral programs have a lower cost per acquisition than any other channel. And customers referred by other customers have a 37% higher retention rate. Investing in this partnership type under the bucket of performance marketing is an incredible way to reinvest your budget and grow your revenue contributions. Remember, today's winning brands build deep connections and loyal communities, not just broad reach. So, the last 25 years were all about digital, giving consumers access to information, shifting power away from brands. The next 25, Gen AI is obviously going to take it even further, right? It's speeding things up. It's helping people cut through the noise and make smarter choices faster. I saw this firsthand recently, helping my daughter shop for a new car. She knew what kind of car she wanted. It's just way too many trim options. It was very overwhelming. So like a lot of us, asked ChatGPT. We narrowed it down to a few choices, went to YouTube, watched a few review videos, walkthroughs with people that had experience with the cars. We were able to make a decision. Here's what's important. None of that content came directly from the car brand, right? It came from the community. And that same community, by the way, is what's training the LLMs. So it's clear. We're standing at the edge of a transformation. Power has already shifted. Consumers have moved on. They've changed the way that they discover, how they evaluate, how they buy, from creators, from advocates, from real people sharing real experiences. The genie's out of the bottle. Today, and certainly in the future, brands don't control the message anymore. Communities do. And AI is just making it easier for consumers to hear them. It's clear that we're moving from an ad-led dynasty, a 100-year reign in marketing where power sat with the few, using ads to shape how we think, to now a partner-led future powered by community and now accelerated by AI. And it's up to you in this room to decide how fast we move to make this change within your organizations. You're the innovators. You're the forward-thinking marketers who are willing to challenge the status quo. Yes, it's harder than buying ads, but it's worth it because at the end of the day, people demand truth, trust, and real connections. And as a modern marketer, you've got no choice but to embrace that fact. The shift isn't just about belief, it's about action. And here's my suggestion on how you go back and lead it. First, help your performance marketing leaders inside your companies grasp the crisis that's happening in traditional advertising and the solution that you're bringing to the table. Second, expand your partnership and affiliate programs to include creators and customer advocates. And finally, reimagine your overall performance marketing budget and start driving meaningful reallocation to marketing investment into partnerships. The next era of performance marketing is here. Consumers have already crossed the chasm. The question is, will you lead the way for your company to meet them where they are? Thank you.